Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the upcoming Wizards versus Rockets game tomorrow. And so there's a lot of interesting things to talk about today, and let's go ahead and get started. So what do y'all think about Westbrook coming back to Houston ever since he got traded for John Wall and a first round pick?
I feel like Westbrook, he's gonna have something to prove. Not necessarily like a vengeance type of game, like bad blood, but I feel like he's gonna want to perform since it's one of his former teams, and since a lot of fans started to turn on him around mid-season, late season, his due to him not playing well against the Lakers, and then in that last OKC game, I don't think he played that well. So I think he's gonna want to have something to prove against us. And then the same thing for John Wall. John Wall, since he's playing his former team, I don't feel like there's bad blood for him either. But he's gonna want to play good since it's his former team.
Yeah, and obviously there's going to be the narratives of Westbrook returning to his former team in Houston and how is he going to play? Is he going to play with that extra fire against Houston? And obviously I feel like there's going to be some kind of motivation for Westbrook. But I think it's more important that we look at, people have been calling Westbrook washed recently because of some poor play from him. And it's going to be interesting to see if, he continues playing bad and if he really is, washed or in decline, like is being told on all over social media, or if it's just because of injury or just a slump.
I gotta agree with him on that about Westbrook being called washed. But at the same time, I feel like he's definitely more mellowed down now with the fact that not that many people are gonna be like thinking he has bad blood with the Rockets. His main bad blood was with Harden. He didn't like Harden's work ethic, and now that the Rockets don't have him anymore, I feel like he's gonna be more of just like, hey, it's nice to see y'all again. Same way that he did with KD when he first met up with them.
Yeah, I think Westbrook has been, as y'all said, a little off in the last few games. On his last game, he had 9 points. The game before that, 12, and then the game before that, 20. So he's been a little regressing. He might be dealing with injury, like a lot of players are this season. But do you think it's too early to say that the Rockets won the Russell Westbrook and John Wall trade?
No, I don't think it's too early because, for one, Russell's already gotten hurt. I think he had the quad strain or whatever a couple weeks ago. And he's been out for I think maybe like 2 weeks. Part of it's because of the Corona thing for the Wizards. But during that time, Westbrook's been out. Even if they were playing, he wouldn't have been playing. And for the Wall's been hurt too. But the severity of his injury isn't nearly the same as Russ's because Russ had the same injury, I think, during the OKC game, the quad thing, and he has it again. Wall is just because load management type of thing. So I think Russ is going to continue to miss games, and he's going to continue to. In my opinion, I think Russ is washed because, for one, his athleticism is going down. Two, he's lost his speed, he's lost his touch. He doesn't really have skill. He's just all athletics, and he doesn't have that anymore. Wall, he has skill. He's learned how to shoot. Westbrook never has. So I feel like the Rockets won that trade, and they got a first round pick out of the thing. So yeah, Houston for sure won.
I gotta agree with
Yeah,
him on that. I feel like Wall definitely is a better fit for Houston. He's more of a traditional point guard, more of like a pass first, shoot later, and he plays very good defense. Not that Westbrook doesn't play good defense, but he plays good defense, and on top of that, he's also good off ball. So if like Victor Oladipo wants to like do some ball handling, Eric Gordon wants to do some ball handling, he's willing to come off screens and do whatever he can. Plus, he's a floor general. That's one thing that I feel like Westbrook, as much as he wants to try to be a floor general, he's more of also just like a stat pattern. He's like, let me just get my triple double. That comes first, and after that is winning. And that's just not the mentality that a good team needs. That's why a lot of people are really hating on Westbrook.
Yeah, and I gotta agree with you two here because this trade was. I think we're starting to see a correlation with Westbrook getting traded, and as soon as the trade's done, feeling like, oh, the team that got Westbrook won the trade. Last season this happened with Chris Paul. Westbrook getting sent to Houston. People were like, oh, they got rid of old Chris Paul and got Westbrook, and Houston definitely won the trade. And now Houston owns a good number of, OKC owns a good number of Houston's first round picks, and they got a great season with Chris Paul, some good development, they're young guys. Whereas Houston kind of had a disappointing season with Westbrook getting injured and all that, and now same thing happening here. Westbrook getting traded for John Wall. Original reaction for most people was like, oh, Wizards won the trade, and now starting to see Westbrook playing bad, Houston having John Wall and him coming back and playing solid, and of course they also got that first round pick. Team like Houston's won the trade, and another team has traded away Westbrook and gotten better.
Yeah, I think I'll have to agree with all y'all. Y'all made some really good points about that. And let's talk more about the Rockets. So the Rockets are currently, as of this video, they are 6-9, but they're just coming off a huge win against the Dallas Mavericks, 133 to 108, and that was without Oladipo and Wood. So do you guys think that this team, as it's currently constructed, can make the playoffs this year?
I feel like we could for sure make the playoffs, but will we do anything in the playoffs? Maybe win a couple games in the playoffs, maybe win the first series, but other than that, no, we're nowhere near a title contending team. Sure, we have Wood, who's hitting his prime, who's becoming a superstar, and sure, we have the John Wall, who's coming back from injury and really wants to prove that he still has it. And then for Oladipo, he wants to prove that he's worth a max contract this summer, whether it's the Rockets or a different team. So they all have something to prove right now. DeMarcus Cousins too, but I just don't think with the way that we're set up right now to win a title, no. Just to simply make the playoffs.
Gotta agree. I feel like the Rockets are just one piece away from like doing something big in the playoffs. And that one piece is something that like every team that's done good things has. That one piece is the person who can take the final shot. Wood, he's about to enter his prime, but we don't know. We can't have him give him the ball and be like, all right, this guy's going to take the shot to win the game for us. John Wall, I don't think can do that. Victor Oladipo can do that at times, but at every game, I don't think so. He's not like a LeBron James, like an Anthony Davis, like Kawhi Leonard, like Donovan Mitchell, Nikola Jokic. All these players, you can give them the ball when the time is running out. There's 10 seconds left. They can hit the shot, give your team the lead, win the game. That's the one thing that the Rockets are missing, but it's not something because right now we play more of like team based. There's not like one person who's consistently averaging like 30 points like James Harden did before when he was here.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, this team has the potential to be a playoff team, maybe even, make it out of the first round. But I think that's probably where their ceiling is. You got some, I would say, all-star caliber players. You got, Wall, you got Christian Wood, you got Victor Oladipo, and while all those guys are all-star caliber players, none of them are the superstar that most championship teams have. Like, the Lakers with LeBron James, the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard, the Brooklyn Nets with, of course, Kevin Durant, James Harden. Houston doesn't quite have that, and I think that you need that to take that next step, be a championship team. But I could very well see this team being like a lower playoff seed in the Western Conference, giving one of those higher seeds a good run in that first round, taking 1, 2, even 3 games in that first round series. But I think that the first round exit is this team's most likely ending to the season.
I think this team does have some good players, like the all-star caliber players that we have, but in Oladipo's first game, he showed that he can actually take over because in my opinion, I think Victor Oladipo is a super clutch player. There's so many moments in his career where he's made some like 3-point daggers in his career. So I think Victor Oladipo and John Wall, they have a good like layup package in which they like are able to finish well around the rim. And Eric Gordon is actually a very quietly putting up some great numbers this year. I think he's like been playing more free without James Harden, and I feel like Eric Gordon, like if you give him the reins to your team, he can actually like be your semi pseudo like superstar because I feel like Eric Gordon is like in the middle. Like obviously he won't get that All Star vote, but Eric Gordon, if you give him like the power, he will take that for sure. Eric Gordon's like very underrated in my opinion, and I think there is potential. I think like this team, it's more kind of like the Pacers in the past years, where it's like not like necessarily like one big superstar, but everyone just plays collectively together and ends up being that that lower playoff seed. But I like how the direction that the Rockets are going, even though we lose some games, but they're still trying to be competitive, and that's what's important for like future culture and things like that. I don't think anyone on that team wants to tank. I mean, no one wants to tank, but yeah, I like the way that the Rockets are going. And let's talk about Boogie Cousins. This past game, he put up 28 points, 17 rebounds, and 5 assists in 30 minutes. So do y'all think that Boogie Cousins is back? He was a bit looking washed the previous games before that, but this game it kind of shows that the kind of potential he has. So what do y'all think about Boogie right now?
I wouldn't necessarily say Boogie's back. Like, he's not going to do that consistently every game type thing. But he for sure, he's gotten better from the start of the season. I feel like he's going to have occasionally one of these crazy good games, like maybe once every couple weeks or something like that. But consistently based, like 28 points, 14 rebounds, whatever it was, I don't think he's going to do that every game. But if he could do that for us every game, then that would be wonderful. We would be even... He could probably start with Christian Wood if he's doing that every game. Have Christian Wood probably at the power forward and have Cousins at center. Have 2 big men with maybe True, House. I think House returned to practice today. So if House, have Depot, and then John Wall, of course. If Cousins could do that every game, then yeah, we're set for the season.
I personally like Cousins where he is as a backup center because we don't have a backup center if he does start. I don't want PJ Tucker to play center. I do not want that nightmare matchup with Anthony Davis or if anyone like they have Harrell off the bench. The Lakers. I don't want PJ Tucker regarding Harrell. No. But I do want to say Boogie is he really needed that game. Before that game specifically, he's been not shooting the ball well, committing a lot of turnovers. Like he's a good passer, but he's just like still getting used to the system. I feel like that last game was a game that he really needed to boost up his confidence. Now, and he said it himself. The reason he had that good game was because John Wall was on the court, and if that chemistry, that Kentucky chemistry that they have, because they're best friends, playing since like 14 years old, I think they said in an interview. But man, if those two can play like at an elite level, or even if Boogie can like just average around like 15 points a game as a backup center, dish out some good assists, get like 8-9 rebounds, that's an amazing like stat line that he can put up on a very favorable contract. We are only having for the minimum anyways.
What I would say is this type of performance could not have come sooner for Boogie Cousins since before this game, Rockets fans were calling for his head, and rightfully so, because he was just not playing well. He was shooting something like 30% from the field or something, or even worse than that, and that's just not acceptable. Yeah, something it just was not good numbers that he's putting up, and it was unacceptable. And he was basically on borrowed time pretty much. It was only a matter of time before he either got waived or traded, and so this game, this performance, gives him more time to prove to the Rockets organization that he can stay here for a bit longer. He can, still be a rotational piece for this Rockets team. And I don't think he's going to be playing as bad as he was to start off the season. Like you said, with John Wall chemistry, that's obviously going to help him out. I think that Boogie Cousins will continue to play well. Obviously, I don't think he's going to be putting up 28 and 17 every game. That's not happening. But I do expect him to put up solid numbers, solid efficiency, and just be a regular, decent rotational player.
Yeah, I think the Rockets are trying to make Wood into a center more than a power forward based on their lineups this year. Obviously we haven't gotten a fully healthy lineup, but I think that's the direction that the Rockets are going with. And I personally think that the small ball lineup that we have with PJ Tucker at center isn't too bad because there's been multiple occasions where this team has gone on runs. And in like last year in the regular season games versus the Lakers, PJ Tucker did a really good job against Anthony Davis in my opinion, but not so much in the playoffs obviously. But PJ Tucker can obviously showed that he still is that touted defender that many people applaud him today on, and he still has that shot. I mean, but yeah, I think he possibly is one of those candidates that will be traded by the deadline. But it'll be sad to see PJ Tucker go. He is the definition of hustle. But yeah, that's my thoughts on PJ Tucker, by the way. And one of our last questions is, what do y'all think about this team defense? How will it step up against the Wizards without Christian Wood?
I feel like the defense for the Rockets is going to do fairly well since it's going to play a very depleted Wizards team. And for one, they weren't even too good offensively when they were all healthy. And then now they have missing players because of the corona and everything. So I think the Rockets are going to step up defensively, not necessarily because they're good at defensively, but just because they don't really have to guard against a superstar, like a mega superstar. Because Russ, we all know, like we said earlier, Russ isn't the same. Russ isn't going to go do 30, 10, and 10, or 20, 10, and 10. He's just going to probably put up like a double-double or something. So I feel like defensively they're going to do pretty good.
I'm not worried about the Rockets on defense for this game. The Wizards are one of the worst defensive teams in the entire league. If you want to guard them, you really just need to get someone on Westbrook, someone on Bradley Beal, and the rest of the team is all shooters that honestly cannot play defense. You don't really need much against like Davis Bertans or Troy Brown Jr. And even now they lost Thomas Bryant, so their center position is, I'm not even sure who's starting for them at center. Mo Wagner? Is it him? I'm not sure even. But I'm not worried about the Rockets. They've been hustling. They've been playing really good defense. I'm really happy with the way that Sterling Brown, David Nwaba, and Jayshawn Tate have been playing off the bench defensively. And again, just not worried about this team, especially because they're depleted.
Yeah, I don't think that the Rockets defense has much to be concerned about for this game in particular because if you look at the Wizards structure offensively. Most of their firepower comes at their guard position, with Westbrook and Bradley Beal. But if you also look at the flip side and you look at the Rockets defense, their best stoppers are also at the guard position with John Wall and Victor Oladipo. And I think that matchup kind of cancels it out. And then you look at the front court with the forwards and the center in Christian Wood. And like you said, Thomas Bryant's out. So whoever is the Wizards starting center, I mean, is it Robin Lopez? We don't know. But whoever the starting center for the Wizards is going to lead this game, they're not going to stand a chance against Christian Wood on the offensive end. And as far as defense goes, Christian Wood, while he's not the best center defensively, I think he's still going to be a quality center as far as guarding whoever they put at the center position for Washington.
Yeah, and I agree with all your points right there. I mean, this team is really grinding it out and really putting a lot of effort into the plays. I like the way that Silas is coaching them. And just shout out to Mason Jones. Dude is putting insane efficiency. He was 75% from the field and 75% from three. Last game against the Mavericks, he deserves more minutes. I think we can make the case for Rookie of the Year. He just isn't getting that much national media attention, but definitely I think the way he's playing right now, he is one of those candidates, and that's not even an over-exaggeration.
It's really sad, man. I'm really I don't think he's going to get much minutes in the future because we do have a lot of depth in our guard positions, with Wall, Oladipo, Sterling Brown, Nwaba, and then him, and I feel like Benny Mack is still there. And then now we have Kevin Porter Jr. So it's going to be really hard for him to make time, but I really, really like his game. He can just come in and light it up from three, and honestly, he play okay defense. He's not the best defender, but then again, he's undersized, so he's doing the best he can. But his offensive production definitely outshadows his defense.
All right, and so that pretty much wraps up the video. Let us know what your predictions are for tomorrow's game versus the Wizards. And with that being said, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. See y'all next time. Peace.